What's up, everybody? It's Brandon and Derek. We haven't done a collab in a long time, so we figured why not fix that by maybe even starting our own show. Yeah, first episode right here, Niche Cult Reviews. And we're kicking it off with a forgotten 80s slasher during the 80s slasher boom, when they were just pumping out lower budget slasher movies like crazy after the likes of Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Nightmare on Elm Street, among others. This one is going to be in the form of The Initiation. Have you seen it? Have you heard about this? Have you seen it? Have you heard about this? Was this your first watch, Derek?
It was. This is one I'd actually never heard of, and until you brought it up to me, which is kind of rare when it comes to movies, especially like that genre. You know, like that's the one I'm pretty familiar with.
Yeah.
But I was excited when I read about it and I started it, and I was like, okay, this fits right in with all those other slasher movies. You know, yeah, it was a couple years after a lot of the originals came out, but at the same time, it had a lot of elements that those had, but it also brought in some that, for instance, like I saw in the later Nightmare on Elm Street films. So I could see how even some of the slashers I like took influence from this, as well as this taking influence from other slashers before it. So it kind of just fits right in there smoothly with all the other ones that I really enjoy from this time period.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, this one is definitely one that like I still like it quite a bit. We'll see how much I like it, but like the first time I saw it with like the twist and everything that happens, it was just I don't know. I had a lot more
Yeah.
fun with it back then, but it's still a fucking like really good slasher, I think. But how good is it, people? I don't know. We'll dive into it.
I don't know, man.
You want me to hit them with the plot, or do you want to say the plot?
Yeah. Yo, you hit him with that plot, and then I'll give runtime.
Okay, nice. An amnesiac sorority member who has been plagued by a reoccurring nightmare is stalked alongside other co-eds by a killer in a deserted department store where they are completing a hazing ritual. I like that. It's basic, it's to the point. I like department stores. What can I say? Yeah, I'm in there. I'm in there for sure. I'm digging that. Good shit. So did the plot, which you already kind of said, like that just like won you over out the gates? You were just like, it sounds like the type of, ingredients we need for a good slasher movie. I'm ready for that shit.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you've got college girls, you've got a murderer, you have dreams, and this like psychological yet paranormal element that you don't really know exactly what's going on at first, until you get into the movie itself. But yeah, the plot, it's very typical of your 80s slasher movies. Like I said, it kind of reminds me a lot of like a Nightmare on Elm Street, maybe like Dream Warriors, but just like a lot of that vibe and that feel. I had a lot of that in this movie. If you cross that with like the original Black Christmas and Sleepaway Camp, I kind of get a lot of that in this movie. Obviously, this one's a little bit more tame than a lot of those, but besides a couple of scenes that it had, but I mean, in general, this just it reminds me of a lot of those original movies. It takes a lot of those elements, but I think that like I said, it feels like a cheap copycat in any way. It feels like an original movie. It just fits right in.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and this it's got a runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. Came out in 1984, which is the year my dad graduated high school, and we couldn't find a budget for this. We looked everywhere for a budget for this movie. Typically something that's pretty easy to find. Man, I have no idea. But
I felt
we
like
did
an idiot.
see that somewhere it said low budget, but we knew that.
Yeah, that's a given with these kinds of movies. Yeah, it's always that shoestring budget. But I wanted to know just how much string was on that shoe. That's what I'm trying to figure out here. When I texted you, I was like, dude, I cannot find this budget anywhere. I thought you were going to be like, dude, it's right here. One Google search. What are you talking about? But you're just like, yeah, same thing. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe we're both dumb. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I'll find it. I'll find this. No time.
Yeah. Like, I got this. No problem.
No problem.
Yeah. Did not have it at all. Now, I'll say this much, like, with my slasher movies, like, I never really like them to exceed, like, 100 minutes. Like, that sweet spot for slasher movies for me is, like, barely 80 minutes, maybe barely eclipsing
Yes.
90 minutes. 97's kinda pushing it up there, but the film overall flows pretty well, and it's helped out because that last act goes on forever. I don't know why I just turned into, like, one of the aliens from Mars attacks. So that last act. But that last act, like, it doesn't drag at all, but it's long. So it makes, the final showdown, like, it makes it feel shorter than its 97-minute runtime. So I'm cool with it here for sure. I was looking up like awards and noms. This is something I really use, like the box office banner show I did. We probably won't have a lot of those with these slasher movies, so just prepare for us to just be like, you know what, there ain't shit for this. And if there is, I didn't find it. I saw no awards and or noms for this movie. This does not get a best picture award or anything like that, or anything even close to that. That's okay. We know what movies we're reviewing here. Did you have a favorite?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite performance in this movie at all? This is where it's gonna be tough, man, because like usually like when I'm doing this type of thing, I'm thinking like actual acting skills and shit. But here, like on a lot of these movies we do, we're probably gonna have to be grading it on like a curve, like a different type of vibe. Like we're gonna have to look at it from the standpoint of just like obviously this was terrible acting, but like I really enjoyed this person's performance for what it was. Constantly doing these type of roles. Like I'm even trying to think of like because this movie, as good as it is, like there is some like cheesy moments where I'm just like, okay, like I kind of laugh
Oh
at that,
yeah.
but it's not like too over the top to where it's like, like, oh my God, I'm eating this up, but it's also not fucking in the territory of like, oh, these performances are great. It's kind of like somewhere in the middle, so it's hard to really pick out who I would say performance wise. I'll go with the mother though, like Vera Miles, I think is the actress's name. Yeah, she. I think since I didn't really have a clean over the top, like just like oh my god, I'm eating up this person's overperforming type of performance. I'm gonna go with think the best out of the people that were actually seemingly kind of trying, even though I've seen her do better work. I took her more serious than everybody else in the movie when she was on screen. So I'm gonna throw her the performance nod to the mother.
Yeah. It's funny you said that. Yeah. I was between her and somebody else for me. Honestly, I was Miss
Okay.
Fairchild, and I went with James Reed playing Peter, the teacher.
Yeah. It's a
And
good
there's a
call.
reason because there were moments. Yeah, there were moments. During the performance where it was definitely weaker, and I was like, that didn't hit. But like you said, it's hard to not find problems in all of these performances somewhere. And I
Yeah.
felt like he held a pretty consistent performance, and I think he had a really tough job, and I'll tell you why. Because I
Yeah.
think, we'll get to it later. There's a question I'm going to answer later that will bring us back to this one, I think. But
Okay. We'll loop back around.
it's
We're
just
cool.
I feel like I think he had a harder struggle too than some of the other actors and actresses in this film because of situations he's in the film.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would go ahead and say James Reed. I've seen him in a couple other things too. He's usually a pretty solid
Yeah.
performer. I think he does facial acting really well. I think his facial expressions are never too much or too little, and I think that's a big deal, especially in these movies.
Yeah, I think he did a solid job too. You could definitely say he was about on par with who I picked as well. Like everybody else was kind of just goofy, but those two kind of did the damn thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, Other than Clue Gulliger, I don't think that's how you say his name. That was her dad in the movie. Like he did a pretty good job too. But what
Mhm.
about Kill? You have a favorite kill in this movie?
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
man. Okay, so a lot of the kills are kind of similar to each other. Obviously this is a
mhm.
1984 film. We're going to be giving spoilers, so I'm going to go ahead and give some stuff away here.
Oh yeah,
But so most of them are done with like a little gardening tool, right? Like it's like a
yeah,
little 3 or 4 prong, like gardening tool
yeah.
claw, and
Ironically, for the first 3 or 4 kills. You got 3 or 4
exactly.
prongs, the first three or
So
four kills. Dude, oh my god, this movie's
yep.
way deeper than I realized. It's just now hitting
Oh
me.
my
It's like when
god.
you sit with it, you're starting to really put it together. They really were like, there's deeper meaning. Holy shit.
You're-
We're gonna restart the
we're gonna
review
be
because
we're gonna be here 2 hours
we can't even
talking
review
about the
this.
initiation.
Isn't cheesy enough. Damn. Okay, yes. Go on.
But
Gardening tools.
so That's why, and I like the gardening tool. I thought it was a good weapon. I feel like they used the same shot too much, with like
Yeah.
3 stabs to the stomach. But it worked. It was nice. But my favorite kill was definitely, and I forget the guy's character's name, but when he opens the door and he gets axed right to the forehead,
Oh yeah.
and he lets out this crazy scream, which is not quite as good as the scream that the old man
Oh.
out by the clothesline. He was, ah!
Which
It
one?
wasn't quite that good.
The guy that got me was the security guard, dude. His scream was actually pretty good on like the back half, but the initial scream was like, ah! It was like I don't know. It was the weirdest sound for like the first like initial push of breath, but then as it faded away, I'm like, it's not a bad scream, but that initial like
He's
was
getting better.
hilarious to me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, but yeah, when he gets axed in the head, he falls into the trash bags and lets out a good little yell. And then they get a good close up on the prosthetic, the practical makeup, and everything. And it looks really good. So that's probably my favorite.
That's what's weird about that scene too, is like I might be losing my fucking mind. I was trying to like watch this and write notes, trying to makeshift all this shit together, but it almost looked like the dude's pupils like widened too. Like it was weird, like how the way that was
Ooh,
shot.
I'll have to
Like,
watch that. Like I said, that's why I like to do 2 watches,
dude,
man. I'd like to watch this
dude,
again and check that stuff out, man.
there's a lot more here than meets the eye. Literally, figuratively.
Exactly.
Everything what we're talking about. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
I see what you did there.
It's rubbing off on me. The greatness of this movie. There's layers. Now I have layers. That's what this movie will do for you if you haven't seen it yet.
I feel smarter now because I've seen this movie.
110%, dude. And I'm going past that because that's what smart people do. They just keep going. You know what I mean? Just like this
I'm
joke.
smarter than 100%. Yeah, of course.
Right. Kill for me, dude. I wanted to go with like one of like the arrow, like the bow and arrow kill, or like one of the kills similar to that, like that Ralph dude. I think his name was. He got shot with like I don't know, like a harpoon or some whatever the fuck. Out of nowhere,
Yeah.
the killer was just shooting people with things. It was cool, but I think I gotta go with I'm so bad with names in movies like this because the characters, let's be honest, they're just like there to be killed for the most part. They're not always the most memorable. But like the blonde hair girl that showed her titties, that was probably like the hottest chick in the movie. That girl, you know what I'm talking about, guys. Yeah, when she was getting like stabbed from behind, like she was just getting stabbed over and over again, like in like the chest and stomach area while the killer had her. And I think it wasn't just like because it just kept going and you're like, damn, like she's still getting stabbed. But it was like the way she was like fighting for her life. Like she was like trying to reach for like the fucking like microphone to like scream for help and shit. I think that added element really was just like, oh, dude, this sucks. She's so close, and she's just, it's like it's over. Just give up. And she's like, oh, I want to live, and she just kept going, and the person behind her just killer just kept murking her.
It was hard to watch. Yeah, that was good. That was a good one.
Yeah, I thought that was my favorite kill. I think. Then you got scene. You have a favorite scene in here?
Oh, that's it. Okay, there's you mentioned one just now, but I got 2. I'll briefly, I'm not going to talk too deep on either one of them, but the opening scene with the fire, I really liked. It really gave me like some like initial very creepy vibes, like when he's burning and and everything. I was like, wow, that was a great way to open this movie. This is going to be pretty good. And so I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that scene throughout the film, because of the way it set everything up, and even at the very end when it came back to it, and that just proved that the first scene was one of my favorites, and I also, like you said just now, that the scene with the grappling gun where he gets shot through the back, and he gets pulled away, and then her friend is like on the floor and she's like, help me, and then you just see her start getting pulled back and she's grabbing the ground, and I was like, that was a pretty good one, man. That was pretty creepy. They did a good job of making that pretty scary. I was like, oh, that's not bad.
No, for sure. I love that scene. I sometimes I don't like to do cop out answers, but sometimes like scenes I will. Like this is kind of like a mix for me. It's just like anything to do with like the mall, really, dude. Like as soon or the like department store mall, like that whole like the movie was okay, it was fine, but like anytime they were in there, the movie was just elevated. Like I was just captive. Like everything was way creepier once they
Yeah.
got in there. Like the way they used like all the puppets and shit that were like dancing, like Christmas time shit. And honestly, like the first time you really get like deep in there with the security guard, they got killed. That dude, like when he's like looking in those glasses and like he sees the reflection of somebody like pop their head out from the inside the glasses, and you can not really make out what their face is, just like long hair. Like that shit was actually genuinely creepy. So I might even say like that specific scene, but just
Hmm.
everything that happened within there, which made for a great final act for a slasher movie. That really is what stood out to me as far as I guess scene wise. I'll choose that one out of the bunch.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's a good choice. I like that. That's not as much of a scene as much of just the setting of that
Yeah,
mall. I know exactly what you mean. It went from like
it
a
was like a
good horror movie with like a build up, kind of like a yeah. You had this build up at the beginning, in the school and in the house and in the sorority house and everything. And then you're right, they go and it's good and it's building up, but then they get in that mall and things change. Things change. It gets creepier. People start getting sliced up. It
Mhm.
gets wild, and
It starts
especially for a
getting wild.
1984 extremely low budget movie, just kind of drifting on the heels of some of these other great classics without really any hope of reaching that level, and yet it still just has its own vibe and its own way of uh of having an effectiveness in its kills and in its horror.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely you're not nail on the head with that. Now location on set and in movie. I looked up the location. It says most of this was filmed in Fort Worth and Dallas, Texas. I'm not sure where the movie
Oh, cool.
within the movie took place. I don't really know. Now, normally this is
No,
where like
yeah,
I would do this on my other podcast, like I said, like Josh for some reason loves locations. So like he would always take this shit and he'd be like, he'd hear it
that's
and be like,
cool.
"Oh,
Yeah,
we're in New York right now." Me, I'm just like that goes right over my head. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear them say where they're from. They might have said it 50 times, but I didn't hear them say where they were at in the movie. It might even say it like on the
no, I never
campus.
heard.
It's like Dallas, Texas, like right there on the fucking
I was
campus.
about
Like
to say I
hanging
wouldn't be
out with
surprised if it was Dallas. Yeah,
yeah, like they it
the
might
the way
have
that some of
been
the people acted, I can
yeah,
see
for
that.
sure. So don't know on that. Did you have a best unimportant scene? Because
Mm.
yeah, like I for me, like these type of scenes are just like ones that have no importance in the movie and like maybe don't mean shit to like anybody else, but it stood out to you for some reason. Like you thought it was funny or something dumb. I had a couple of them. Um, for some reason, when they were in the mall, the Chad and Ralph characters where they had the bowling ball. I don't know why that scene had no
Oh
importance, but I
yeah,
really
and
enjoyed
they
it.
thought
Like
it was the funniest shit.
yeah, they threw the bowling ball and they're just like Chad and Ralph, and they literally are just like, we scared the shit out of them. And then like they literally
Scared the
ride
shit out
away,
of them.
yeah, ride away on bikes singing like we scared the shit out of them, like riding away on bikes. Like I'm just watching this, I'm just like,
Yes.
who the fuck are these guys? Like, what the fuck? Like, what type of characters are these? Like, they roll. That's their whole purpose is just to scare people, and then I just get to witness, like, I guess they're supposed to be like high school kids, whatever the fuck. But like, they look like grown men almost. Like, it's always like older actors, just like on a
Oh yeah.
bike, like hats. They're just like, we scared the shit out of them, singing and shit. It's just like this is '80s nonsense that I enjoy. Don't know why, but I do. That's the best unimportant scene to me. I got one
Uh,
later I'll kind of talk about in additional points, but yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's a great answer, man. And now I kind of moving forward in this series, I kind of have a better idea of what kind of you look for in that
Yeah,
category. So I think I'll be able to have some better answers.
it's
But
fun
what I
to
was thinking,
bust them out.
yeah, the in the psychiatric ward when like before the nurse gets killed,
Mhm.
pretty much everything in that psychiatric hospital until she's killed is pointless,
Yeah.
because none of the characters in that psych ward ever come back. It's just about an escape, and you could have
Yeah.
done that any way you wanted. You could have just done that by literally showing an open window
Mhm.
at the psych ward, and that scene's over, right?
Yeah.
So I like that
Live
they
for it.
they they made us hate this nurse they make you really not like her before they kill her. And and then they've got these psych patients, obviously not really acting like psych patients, but just acting crazy. And this one guy's just like blah, 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 blah. And that's probably my favorite,
I was
most
thinking about that
unimportant
one too.
element of the film.
Yeah,
it's just all over the place.
It's so bizarre, dude.
Yeah, so that's probably my pick for that. Yeah, but I like yours too, and I just picture that bowling ball now, and it's making me smile. Them just running away. Yeah, we scared the shit out of them because that girl told them, she was like, "Scare the shit out of them." They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna scare the shit out of them." They say it like 10 times back and forth.
They ride off on bikes and singing, "We scared the shit out of them." Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's great, great stuff.
Now this is
that's
one
what
I
these slashes are all about. We need those moments.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially these type of movies. Yeah, what you're saying. Dumbest or cringiest moment. I didn't really necessarily have one. Like there was dumb moments, like we were talking about certain screams and like even like
Yeah.
what was the one? I just had one on the tip of my tongue. Like kind of like the lead actress's Daphne Zuniga's, I think is how you pronounce her name, like the main girl. She when she was being hypnotized, some of her actors like mommy, daddy, like it was a little dumb and cringy, but at the same time it was just kind of like bad acting. It wasn't like, the dumb or cringy shit is like where they're going for the Oscar and it's bad acting and they're trying really fucking hard and it's embarrassing. So like there wasn't really anything, I guess, on that level for me, but there's definitely like little tidbits here and there. But I didn't have a specific scene for this one. Did you have anything for like dumbest or cringiest moment?
So I struggled with that because a lot of times like dumb or cringy is, even if it isn't intentional, which a lot of times it is in these movies, even if it isn't, I still like it, and it's kind of necessary for these films to not take themselves too seriously. So for me, it's more so like you said, when somebody's trying way too hard, or when it's just not like something's just not working. So there was really nothing like that. But the teacher's assistant, she bothered me a little bit. Her acting was off, but not just like her acting, but her comedic timing was awful. It was awful, and the writing didn't help her a whole lot. And so that's kind of, earlier when I was saying that like I was going to end up coming back to talking about James Reed playing Peter and how he had a tough job. I think it's really hard to work with somebody that has no timing, especially when the writing is par or subpar. So I think he had to carry, a couple of other actresses' weight, while he's acting. So I think that's why I went with him over Miss Fairchild, actually, was because I was like, man, because she acted with the dad who did a better job than this secretary or assistant. So I was like, that's why he gets the cake. But it's not too bad. It doesn't take away from the film. If anything, it might even add to it. But I just she bothered me just a little bit. So that's just probably what I choose.
Yeah, she just had one of those like her face was cringy. Like she just has one of those faces.
Yeah, like
just fit on the actress. But like she just has.
She should have never been in a movie.
Yeah, before she even speaks, I'm just like, it's just gonna not work. Just don't. Yeah, like it's like that. Like that person. It's like the equivalent to like the guy that just has a face you want to punch. You're just like, I don't know why, I just want to punch this guy's face. That's like the woman version of that. You can't punch them because they're a woman and you don't want to be an asshole. We're obviously not fucking activate. Like we're not trying to say like, go do that. If you see a woman's face, it's cringy, punch it. It's the cringy face. You just gotta look at it and be like, just leave me alone. Leave me alone. That's the best way I could describe it, I guess. Goofs. I see 4 goofs on this movie. I guess I got
a couple. I'm sure I wrote the same ones you wrote down.
Okay. If you want, since I got them in front of me, you can say yours. If you got
it's up to you, man. I'll go for one. So I'll go ahead and start with the one that was my personal favorite then.
Okay. That'll work.
Let me see. I've got it on here. Oh, yeah, this one's great. Okay, so the guy who plays Ralph, he calls what is it? He calls Marcia's character Allison like 2
Yeah,
times
I think her name's
while
Marsha
they're
in the
about to like
movie.
Marcia. Yeah. That's right.
It's
That's
just
right. Yeah, I
spelled
wrote
weird.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Marcia, but
No, yeah,
Marsha.
it
Yeah,
looks like Marcy. Yeah, but yeah, go on. My bad, man.
but she. No, you're fine, man. You're good.
Yeah, yeah.
But that cracks me up, man, because I mean, obviously it's funny, like a guy accidentally calling a girl the wrong name, but
Mm-hmm.
in real life or in a movie. But it's just hilarious here because it seems to just go completely unnoticed.
Nobody.
Now, what I did see about yeah, like the no one says or reacts any differently, but they did add it. It looks like they added in something. I saw a little side note about this, and it looks like they added in like a scene or something of her reacting to
Oh yeah.
somebody calling her name or something so that it looked like it was on purpose and that he wasn't talking to the girl he was about to have sex with, but rather about to have sex with this girl and talking to another girl. So I don't know. It was a mistake that I guess they didn't have time or money to take out, which is really weird because in the cult chanting scene where they're all gathered around chanting at the main character Kelly, you can tell that they didn't know what they were chanting at the time because their lips don't match each other
Yeah.
and they don't match the chant. So like, why couldn't they just go back and fix this, mistaken identity crisis? I'm not sure, but I'm glad they didn't. I love it.
These movies are just they're always some type of a mess. Um, I got like the crew or equipment visible shit. Like this one where Kelly's mother runs outside to give her husband his glasses just after she mentions him forgetting his head if it wasn't attached. The scene cuts to the car driving away. On the left, there's a crew member standing with his
Yes.
arms crossed. Totally caught that. Like I thought it was gonna be like he legit was just gonna be like this, but he was just like you just saw like his elbow on the other side. Like that was pretty funny to see. Always got some random shit like that. And the other one I got is in the final shot where Nurse Higgins is murdered in her station wagon. The crew members and their equipment can be seen reflected in the passenger side windows of the car. Come on, guys, get it together. Nah, Goops is always fun, but at the same time, like you always expect there to be like way crazier shit, and there hardly ever is. But then the one time you do get the crazy shit out of nowhere, you're like, oh shit, this is what we came for. Got to build it up. But yeah, still some pretty funny
That's
ones in there.
exactly right.
Deleted scene would normally be the
Yeah.
next thing, but we are pieces of shit and we forgot to look for that. So maybe next episode. Guys. And then
Definitely next time. Yeah, this is something that we're just kind of both getting back, or I'm just getting back into this in general. And so yeah, we'll give us a couple weeks. We'll definitely have something.
oh, dude,
I think this is going to be a really cool channel, man. This is going to be great.
yeah, dude, that's been my job for a long time. I couldn't tell you how many times. Like I'm like a real professional about shit, but I always forget to do that. Like I've had to come on so many times. Like I didn't watch deleted scenes again, guys. Like what? I'm like. I fucking forgot to. Like, I always don't remember. And then I look at it, I'm like, fuck, the deleted scene. I don't know. I always forget that. Just because, like, I'm like, I watched the movie. What else could I have to do? The movie's over. I wrote my note. Yeah, I'm good. And then, like, I go to record and I'm like, the fucking deleted scene.
Yeah.
I forget it every fucking time. And I feel like a piece of shit. Work on that. Obviously, I'm already 0 for 1, so I'm not doing good.
Well, I'm glad we both forgot. So yeah, we're on the same page here.
As long as we're yeah. Did the
ending fuck up together?
Right. As a team, go down with the ship. Did the ending deliver though? That is the question. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, I'll answer that. So, did the ending deliver for me? It's a little bit more complex than that, but simple answer, yes. I mean, simply answered, simply put, yeah, right. Like simply, but yeah, it did. It really did. I feel like it's a little vague. Not enough is explained, which is the case a lot of times when you have a crazy twist. Because it would take way too much work to explain something like that. There's going to be so many plot holes, but if you leave a lot of it open, then there's a lot of interpretation that can be made. In this particular film, in a 1984 slasher, niche cult classic film, I feel like you don't have to have that over explanation. If I'm watching a movie like Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and maybe I do want a really smart detective thriller movie. But if I'm watching this, man, I want to see decent kills, people screaming, a little bit of bad acting, and a twist somewhere in there. And it gave me all that. The twist was a decent twist. I mean, it wasn't the worst one ever. It was kind of M. Night Shyamalan-ish in terms of not enough explanation, pretty crazy. But I love M. Night Shyamalan, and I liked this movie too, so I can't complain. Yeah, it delivered some questions, yes, but delivered, yes, also absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, for
what
this
about you,
type
man?
of
What'd you think about it,
movie,
dude?
that's exactly what I wanted. Like, I love the atmosphere, the vibes. Once we got to the final act, we got to see like that entrapment type of fucking place, like that place where it feels like even though it's a big mall and you feel like they can get out, it still feels like they're stuck in there. That little like that something about that
Yeah,
single environment feel just really adds to like a moment in time in a movie, especially at ending when you know all the stakes are on the fucking line. You got to really, I feel like, get to know the main characters even more. Like once they all were like forced to interact with each other and fuck around with each other, like the Ralph and the whatever
yeah,
character we're doing. Like I liked everything about how it kind of tied together. And I wasn't necessarily like, because you were watching it, you weren't expecting it necessarily to go that route where they'd end up at like this fucking abandoned like mall that they're hanging out in or
hmm
department store or whatever. It's kind of like that came out of nowhere and you're like, okay, this is a cool setting, like as I kind of talked about earlier. And then like being in there, like it let the killer switch it up from that little 4-prong garden tool. Now using all these various different weapons, which I thought was cool, always good to have. And then the creepiness got dialed up. And then you get the little twist, which is just kind of like, even though there's like signs of it for sure, it was still like a what the fuck? Like, oh shit, what is going on
hmm
type of moment that, at least when you first watch it, you're like, shit, like it's got everything I want for like an ending really to a slasher movie. So yeah, the ending really did work for me. I love the whole like final act of this movie for sure. So definite on that one. Then we got 3-question trivia. And I don't know how much you could get at this. I wrote down some trivia shit. I don't know if you came up with some trivia shit or not.
Ooh. No, wait, hey, I'll try. I might get every one of them wrong, but let's try it. And
No,
then,
dude,
like I said, this being our first week of doing this, man, I'll get the hang of this. Yeah,
I
I'll come prepared next time.
I don't even think the fucking I might even gave away something earlier and I can't remember if I said it or
Oh,
not. But 3-question trivia is actually I think more than 3 questions. I just wrote out like a bunch of questions. We'll see. I might choose all of them. Fuck it. Where did you're not gonna get this one? Let me just say that. Where was the first place it was screened? Like the first place this movie was screened. To my knowledge, this is correct.
is it like a specific? Okay, so are you asking me about a
Like a
specific
state,
building or like a city?
like a city, state, country, anything.
Okay. Well, you said it was Fort Worth, Texas, but that's too easy. So I'm gonna say like some Indiana town. I don't know.
That's actually really close. So the reason why I put it on here is because like it said it was first screened in like Lexington, Kentucky, which I'm from Kentucky. So I was like, what? That's kind of cool. Threw me off. Yeah. So that's where it was first screened. It was first screened like numerous places, but that's like the place it listed first. So I just took that. Um, all right, let me see here. Was Larry Stewart the only director on this film?
Okay, what was that? Say that one again. It cut out at the very end on that one.
Was Larry Stewart the only director on this film?
Who was the only director?
Yeah, was he the only director? Was he the only one that directed this film, or was there a
Oh,
previous
was he?
director? Yeah.
Ooh, it's funny is I didn't look up. I looked up the cast. I didn't look at a lot of the crew. I'm gonna say yes, just because I don't know of anyone else that was on it. But if there was, I'm interested in hearing about it.
Okay, so this says some of the early scenes at the mental hospital were not actually shot by director Larry Stewart. Peter Crane was originally attached to the film, but the production
Oh
got off to a
wow.
rough start as shooting fell behind schedule and the budget started to be exceeded. Producers brought in Stewart to replace Crane on the film. Says the original director Peter Crane was said to have European art house sensibilities that clashed with the producer's desires to make a mainstream slasher film. He still managed to direct a few scenes before being replaced, which remain in the movie, which I believe was like the opening, like the Sane Asylum is what he directed, but then was
Yeah. Okay.
replaced by Larry Stewart. So that was pretty cool.
Well, wow, I did not know that. That's a really cool fact because I know I've seen Crane's name attached to some work before. That's interesting. Yeah, I did not know that.
Oh yeah. And then you got do you know where you know the dad from? Yeah, what the fuck's his name in the movie? I already forgot what
It's Mr.
Daphne.
Fairchild, but I can't remember his first name.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's played by Klug Gulliger or Gulliger. I don't know how to say his name for sure. He's a great actor actually.
He is pretty good. I'm trying to think. I had seen him before. I'm trying to picture his face right now. I would, oof, man,
Because if you can't figure it out, it might fuck
gosh.
with you.
Oh,
Oh
it's
yeah.
gonna haunt me. It's one of those.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
no.
He's the dad of Jesse in Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Oh my god,
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
dude, it totally is. It
And he's
totally
fucking
freaking
great
is.
in
Oh my
Nightmare on
god,
Elm Street too.
he is. Yes. Oh my god.
That's him. Yeah.
Yeah,
A year apart, some more
100%
slasher
him.
shit. And do you know where you know the
I was about to
mom
say they look the
from?
same. He looks the same too. So
Yeah.
like, because it's only 1 year apart. The mom. Now the mom. Hang
Yeah. I think
on.
I even talked about this earlier. But I
Yeah,
might.
these were the only two. These are like the only two that I really had seen, like recognized before, except for James Reed, and the girl that played Kelly, the main character. I have seen her in one or two other things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. You did say something about
Yeah.
what she was in. Dang it.
Gotta retain the information, dog.
Gosh, dang it. I know it's. I know. That's part of the trivia. That's part of the trivia. That's why I suck at it. I'm gonna give up to spare the viewers and then just kick
Okay.
myself for not
Okay.
remembering.
Yeah, Psycho. She's Marion Crane's sister,
Dang it.
Lila Crane. And then the
Yeah.
second movie, I love her particularly in Psycho
Is
2.
she the one that drives? She's yeah.
Yeah, Marion's the
In
one
Psycho,
that
yeah, and two.
yeah, in Psycho 2, yeah, she's the one that's the mother to what's her name in that fucking movie? It's staying with Norman and she's like saying like she's like she killed your like aunts, like why are you like warming up to him and shit. She's the one that basically planted her
Yeah.
to, fuck with Norman's head. So yeah, that's Vera
I was
Miles.
about to say, yeah, she ends up staying there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like that's
Okay,
actually
very
like a
cool.
really cool parents to have in the movie, like when you really break down who they are and all that. And then was this Daphne Zuniga's first film, the main girl in the movie?
I'm gonna say no, and there's only one reason. I'm gonna say no because I've seen her in something, and I'm gonna hope that it's something that came out before '84.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people saying this was her first film. Now, granted, maybe this is something we can do in the future. I've never seen this movie, but there's something credited before that came like 2 years prior called The Dorm That Dripped Blood that said it was her feature debut. But like
I
all the
haven't seen
trivia,
that. No.
a bunch of trivia was saying like this was her first film. Like that was like one of the answers. But I looked up her filmography and that one came first. So like that might be a fun fact if like maybe that's knowledge to some people where they're just like, yeah, it's her first film as the slasher
Wow.
fanatic. But no, like when I looked it up, it's her second film. She was in a slasher movie called The Dorm That Dripped Blood
Wow.
2 years prior. So yeah. So
So the
that's
same
true.
kind, same genre. I like that. I'll have to check that
Oh
movie
yeah,
out.
dude. Good terms. All right.
That sounds
Now,
like something that would be fun to watch.
oh yeah, it fits right in, right? Then we have Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. What did they give it? Do you have any idea what they gave this movie? I can go ahead and say I got it wrote down if you don't got it, but I
I
was just
think
curious.
IMDb was a 5.6, right?
You're
So
correct.
IMDb is like a 5.6. Yeah.
Which is,
Rotten Tomatoes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
that's pretty much standard for these type of movies. Like if they're like a 6, you're like,
Yeah,
oh damn, this might be
55%.
a good one, because a lot of them are low
Yeah,
fives, stuff like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Under a 5. Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes only actually has 4 reviews on out of all of them, and it doesn't even say the Rotten Tomato percentage, but like I could just calculate it in my own head. There's 4 reviews,
Yeah.
3 of them are rotten, 1 of them's fresh. So that means it got a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's the one rough
Yeah.
thing about these movies. A lot of critics don't even bother reviewing them. They're old, and Rotten Tomatoes came out later, I guess. I almost went to the wrong initiation. That would have been confusing. But some of the things they said, negative reviews, 107 minutes of witless nonsense. All right, let's dial that back. It's actually 97 minutes. This person already doesn't know what they're talking about. Fuck this guy's review.
True.
Okay,
Yeah. He's
107
out.
minutes.
He's out.
107 minutes of witless nonsense, populated by performers who would look more at home in after-school specials, and filmmakers who ought to have been left stranded on the unemployment line. Damn, that's rough.
Wow.
And then you have another
I
guy
disagree
that
with parts of that for sure. I think the acting, the performers part might hold some credence in some areas, but I feel like the people that were behind the scenes making this movie did a really good job.
Yeah, not too bad. Then you got another guy that just gave it. He didn't even care to comment. He's just like, rotten, get the fuck out of here. And then the other rotten comment says, The Initiation is the worst kind of bad movie in that it often seems like 2 entirely different bad movies mashed together into one ungainly chore. Fuck you too, guy.
Mm,
And then
yeah, man, God.
our one bright light said, positive review, offsets funny co-eds bolstered by Charles Pratt Jr.'s arch dialogue, whatever the fuck, against deep psychological traumas, and its duplicitous narrative ends with a twist that is hard to see coming, yet satisfies by playing studiously fair with the viewer. There we go. Thank you, sir.
That's pretty much what I would say about the movie. That's funny. That's I mean, he used bigger words than I know, but
yeah, duplicitous, bro. It's a duplicitous film for sure. The duplicity of the duplicitousness is just killed it.
The duplicity of this is remarkable.
So we got a negative review from Rotten Tomatoes. Not a great IMDb score, which is more of like what general fans would say calculated together, but 5.6 for this kind of movie, not terrible. Not terrible at all. What about our personal scores, though?
Okay. Yeah, I knew this was coming. So, if I'm just giving it, okay, this is where it gets tricky for me because there's
not
this
objective,
genre,
subjective.
Yeah, because this genre is of its own.
You always got to go subjective on these.
Or an Oscar. Now, if I'm just rating them on like entertainment value and which one I like more and what I can sit and watch and just have a good time, and they might be rated the same. So sometimes I find myself torn between 2 scores for a film, what I would rate it for entertainment and what I feel like it deserves based on a filmmaking standpoint. So I try to find that middle ground, and that usually becomes my score. So I would like to give it a little bit higher than this. I feel like it's still pretty fair, but I would probably give it a 6.5.
Okay, 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I do
but definitely rewatchable. I like it. I like this movie. I'll watch it again. Yeah.
Yeah, when I do my score, I just go off of just straight up how I feel about it. Just like I'm not gonna let any of the other shit. Like I'll say like if somebody asks me, I'm like maybe for you wouldn't like it too much objectively. Maybe it's even like a 4 out of 10.
Right.
Not a lot of good stuff going on here, but how I feel about it, ignoring all that, is strictly when I watch the movie. How do I feel? That's what my score is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give this movie a 10 out of 10. No, I'm just playing. I'm gonna give it a 7.3 out of 10. And for me, my scale, I think we've talked about this before. Like, I won't go to the bad territory, but 5 is average, right in the middle. 6 is good. 7's really good. 8's great. 9 is like best of the year type potential. 10 is masterpiece. So like, this is a step above really good. This is a really good slasher movie to me. This is a 7.3 out of 10. I have a really good time with it. It
Yeah,
would be in the sixes for me too if it weren't for that last act. It really elevates everything. But
I
that's
feel
how
like it
I
deserves the 7.3. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think
good
that's a
deal.
fair, very fair score.
Fair assessment. Any additional points you want to add on? That's always my last thing.
Man, let me see. I wrote a couple notes down. Like I said, I'm kind of going through just to see. The writing is really, really, really good at parts and really bad at parts. It's just hit and
Hmm.
miss. That's one thing I want people to be aware of going into this. That there are some of the worst lines you'll ever hear, and some really good ones, and some really good dialogue too.
Yeah.
Um, the filming locations I really liked, like you said, the mall, but I felt like all the locations had good, cinematography and good background drops to what was going on at the time. Um, the teacher, I liked him. Obviously, I picked him for my favorite performer of the film. I like the character too. I feel like sometimes though in these kinds of movies somebody acts a certain way or acts super weird that like people would obviously like take as odd and like
Hmm.
distance themselves from someone, and his behavior at the very beginning of their relationship was so weird that like I'm surprised she didn't take off running, like when he's like
Right.
he bitched at her and he's like, sorry, I'm just used to freshmen trying to suck up, and then like it just gets, then he just does some more weird shit
Stranger.
for about 30
Stranger.
minutes, and then he gets better. And then he gets better. Yeah, he gets better, but he's weird for a little bit. Um, let's see. The line where she says he'd forget his head if it wasn't attached.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I laughed. The penis costume at the costume party.
Yeah.
Great. Love the giant penis costume. Let me see. That's really about it. Very interesting story. Good, really good atmosphere. Some good jump scares, like the bathroom mirror scene. As cliche as it was still done and timed really, really well. I like that the horror music is very like 70s ish. Even though it's an 84 movie, it's very funky, and that's about it.
Yeah, vibe to it for
Let's
sure.
see. Mostly decent acting. Yeah, yeah, that's it. I think that's all I got. So those are just a couple things I wanted to touch on. People that plan to go watch it, they might know if we didn't talk about it before. Now they got a just a little bit better idea of what they might be getting into.
Yeah. And just touching on the little reveal that it was like her sister or whatever the whole fucking time. Like that shit was really fucking cool. I mean, it was like
Hmm.
we've seen this type of thing before, but it still was like, what the fuck? Like I just imagining like what
Yep.
she was thinking in that moment. Like just like not even knowing and just like I'm looking at a clone right now and it's murdering people and now it's like I want your life and they're never gonna know. It's like holy shit. Wrapping your mind around that as a person's got to be insane. Um,
Oh yeah.
Unintentional funny moment for me. I texted you about it. Like it killed me out, dude, when they were doing like the big reveals and shit with like the fucking like the assistant was just like, actually, there's a reason why she responded to Randall, and then like put the and he's just like, you're kidding me. And then she had like another reveal, and he's like, no way, there's no way you have more. And then she gave him like a third piece of paper, and he's just like, oh my god. And then she like lifted up the fourth piece of paper, and he was just like, bitch, you could not
Yeah.
possibly have more. Like it just was like
It's like
it
a
was
little
really
Russian
funny.
doll set. Just
Like it was funny, but it was funny because it was just like the acting. It was just like, by God,
yes.
another fucking reveal. But like it almost felt like the directors were like, we were fucking hitting him with a sledgehammer across the face every time. It was just kind of like,
Yeah.
eh. Like the big reveal was like the ending with the fucking sister. But like in that moment, like just the oh my God, give me that. Another? Like I don't some about
I've got
that.
to read all this shit.
Yeah, that had me dying. I don't know why, but like I started laughing out loud in that moment. And then
That is, yeah, dude. When you sent me that text, I was like, yeah, that's funny shit.
it was just funny. Like it's just she started reading the floor. We're like, I don't know what it was about it. But and then like that jazz like end credit scene though, like what was going on with that? Like it was
Yes,
weird. It had like a
dude.
weird
I don't know.
jazz type of I don't know how I felt about that. The ending was very abrupt and then it like went into like jazzy kind of music. I don't know if I like that too much. Maybe that,
Dude, yeah, it's not my
7.1.
favorite. Yeah, I don't feel like it was purposefully that
Yeah.
terrible, but it's kind of like I was saying, like at the beginning, you have this horror music playing, and it's like it'll have like these creepy tones in it, and then
Yeah.
it'll be like boom, 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 boom,
Man,
boom,
what's
and I'm
going
like,
on?
then I
Why the
feel like I'm
jazz go right
Kojak.
now?
I'm like, what's that?
Yeah. That's
But
weird. Yeah.
but
And
yeah,
if
it's
I
pretty
had
yeah, pretty
another
good movie.
if I had one more critique, I think I would have liked to play out like not have it so abrupt and not have the jazz music, but also like play out where she sees her sister a little more, like maybe a more
Yeah,
advanced chase sequence. Because it seemed like it
yeah,
started
yeah,
and then it was kinda
definitely.
over too quick. That'd be like my one thing. That and the jazz. But yeah, overall, man, movie
Well, I
delivered.
agree with that because it's like you spend a whole lot of the first hour of this movie like it's kind of slower and then it gets faster and then you end quick. So that tells me you could have taken at least 10-15 minutes out of that first hour and put it at the end. It would have been a slightly better film. But it was, like I said, 6.5 is not indicative of like how I personally felt about it. I feel like it's probably about a 4.5 or 5 on a filmmaking standpoint. I feel like it uh somehow everything clicked together to make it way better than it ever should have.
Yeah.
And I like if I was going to give it my personal score, it would have been really close to what you said, like between probably 7.2 and 7.5,
Do that
something
one,
like
man.
that.
That's what we're here to do. We're trying to
So it's
shine
like it's
shine
like
the
right
light
there,
on
man.
them. I feel it, man.
Hallelujah. Go see
Hallelujah.
The Initiation and support older niche classic films. This is a lot of the like I said, like I'm familiar with a lot of these films, and this
Mhm.
genre is one that I have loved since I was a young child, and this is still one that I had never seen, and it's not the most unpopular. So that
Yeah.
just tells you how many of the great movies there are like this that have just gone
They're just
unnoticed for too
lingering.
long that we hope to bring to you.
Yeah.
But so thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments, anything that you want to suggest, we're open to looking at that. And maybe you'll show us something that fits into these categories that neither one of us have heard of, which would be
Yeah.
great to talk about and dive into. So definitely feel free to do that. Like and subscribe, all the simping shit I'm supposed to ask about. And have a good night.
You got it.
Yeah.